Hey there guys, so today we're going to be talking about your power level and specifically what does it mean, what does it do for you in the game, and most importantly, how do you increase it the most efficient way possible. But of course, before I do get into the video, I would like to remind you guys, I do stream over on Twitch every Monday through Friday, starting at about 8 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. So if you're looking for a group of people to play with and are tired of searching in the public lobbies, or just want to hang out with an amazing group of Save the World players, I'll put a link to my Twitch channel in the video description down below. Now, let's jump into the video. Now, up here, you will see a lightning bolt with a number next to it. This is going to be your power level. It's important to understand this is different than the account level, which is actually shown over here. Your power level can actually range anywhere from 1 at the very beginning of the game to 131, as you can see mine is right here. Keep in mind that your power level can be boosted up to 140, so sometimes you will see that in a game, but this is just your boosted power level and not your actual power level. Now, why is that number important? Well, it's important for several reasons. It's going to determine how much health you have, how fast you recover it once taking damage. It also determines your shield strength, as well as how quickly it regenerates once depleted. It also determines how much damage you are going to do with your weapons and traps, as well as your abilities and gadgets. It's also important because you need to have certain power levels in order to access higher level missions inside of the game. Like, for example, two of the most popular power levels are when you hit power level 70, which is needed to get into the TYME'S missions, and power level 122, which is needed to access the Mythic Storm King so you can get your hands on these bad boys. Yes, there are other requirements as well to access these. For example, you can't access TYME'S until you do the Storm Shield number 6 in Canny Valley and launch the rocket. But even if you rush through the game and do those, you won't be able to play any of the missions in TYME'S. They will be locked to you until you get to power level 7. The big reason most players want to get to TYME'S, of course, is they want to access the stronger weapons, but also the rewards and the missions are much better there, as well as to have access to higher level missions when special events come around and the rewards that they get as well. Now, at the end of the day, the best way to level up is to focus on your power level as you are going through your quest line, so you don't get stuck in missions that are too difficult and you just end up frustrated. In order to increase your power level, it's important to first understand what your power level consists of and that it's really two basic parts. The first part is your survivor squads, which make up around 75 to 80% of it, and the rest is made up of research points. Research is actually the easiest thing to talk about, so we'll cover it here first. It is also going to be the one thing that you have very little control over since it just kind of accumulates over time. You will find research here under the command tab. It's important to note that the number you see here to the right is the amount of unspent research I have. Now, yours will vary, but since I am already maxed out, it will just sit here at this number since I don't have anything to really spend it on right now. Research is gained over time, as I mentioned. So if you go here, it will show you the details. You will see your current regeneration rate as well as your storage limit and point limit. So basically, I will generate 350 research points per hour up until I hit 8,400, at which point my bucket gets full until I empty it or basically collect it. Then it goes into my point total, which is where I spend it out of when upgrading. Now, at lower levels, each of these buckets is smaller, meaning you will regenerate it at a slower rate, your storage limit will be lower, and your point limit will be lower. But it is important to understand two things about this. First is both of these are pretty much relative, meaning yes, you will gain research at a slower rate, but the rate at which you collect it in order to not waste research will stay pretty consistent, with needing to collect once every 24 hours or so. And that at the lower level, it costs less to increase each level. As you see here, my last few levels actually required 4,200 research points per level. But at lower level accounts, as you can see here on this account, each level costs less to level up. These levels start at 0 and can go up to a maximum of 120 each. These categories are actually called your fort stats, which is short for fortitude or health, offense, which is your weapon damage, resistance or your shield strength, and tech, which is your abilities and gadgets. Now, as you level these up, you will see here that each level gained will add 1 point to these, but at each 10 levels, you will actually increase it by 10. So as you can see in this example, if he spends 900 research points, he will add +1 to his resistance, since it will go from level 23 to level 24. But if he was going to level 30, that number would actually increase 10 points. Since each level in a group is basically cost the same amount, it's always best to level up that group in an order of 10, in order to get the biggest bang for your buck. So in this example, he would want to keep applying research points to resistance until he got to level 30, and then move on to another category. I would personally recommend that you focus your beginning levels on offense and tech, since if the enemies are dead, they can't really hurt you, but that's just me. It even shows you down here what you will get from each upgrade and what it will affect. The last and most important thing I'd like to point out about research is that some of the expeditions use research points to run them, as you can see in this example. That means you're basically slowing down your game progress in order to do them. While I know it seems like a good idea to get stuff for free, you are far better off farming to get your resources early on, since expeditions will make it so that heroes are unusable in missions and slow down your progress. So I say no to expeditions until your research is maxed out. It's just not worth it. Okay, now what makes up the biggest part of your power level is what seems to be the hardest to understand for most players, it seems. Yes, I'm talking about survivor squads. Now, before we get into them and how to level them and how to prioritize them, if you guys are finding this info useful at all, please do leave a like on the video and consider subscribing to the channel and turning on notifications so you know when my videos go live for you. It really does help the channel grow and would really mean the world to me. Okay, so now you will find your survivor squads on the command tab right here. You will then have manage and squads, and we're going to go into the squads location. Also, a special note about survivor squads and how they work before we even get started. A while back, Epic decided to add a button right here called autofill that's supposed to fill your survivor squads for you. Do not use this. Let me say that again. Do not use this. In every example I've ever seen, this will result in a lower power level than if you just fill them out yourself using this guy. I have no idea what method they're actually using when they autofill, but it just doesn't work right, at least as of right now. In here, you will find 8 different survivor squads, 2 for each fort stat that we affect. We aren't going to worry too much about what each one affects, just how to fill them out, since that's what's most important. So once we pick a survivor squad to work in, you will see a lot of information on the screen. First, you will see my overall stats right here. The yellow bars next to the fortitude and party shared will show what effect this squad has on the individual fort stats themselves. Here you will see my bonuses and set bonuses. Here you will also see the actual squad itself that we will be working with. Down here you'll see the info about the survivor we currently have selected. Survivors come in all rarities, from common all the way up to mythic, and are broken down into 2 different classes, as you have lead survivors and squad members. And each survivor card will have up to 4 pieces of information on the card itself. First, you will find the power level right here, a spot to indicate if it is a lead survivor. If it's just a squad member, there'll be nothing here. A spot for the survivor's personality, and a spot for the set bonus it belongs to. Now, even before we get started filling in your squads, it is important to understand that you will not have all the squads available to you, or even all the slots in each squad open when you first start out. As you progress through the game and do your storm shields, more slots will open up, allowing you to fill in more survivors, increasing your power level. Keep in mind that having any survivor in a slot is better than having no survivor. So as soon as a slot opens up, you'll want to make sure that you have something to fill it first and foremost. When filling out your squads, you're going to first start with your lead survivors. As you can see here, she is a doctor and we're working with the EMT squad. So she is getting a squad bonus of double what she would get if I swapped her, as you can see down here. Your lead survivor will then also dictate what personality match you're looking for in the squad members. If you look here again, you can see that she is a pragmatic survivor. So when you are filling out your survivor squads, you'll be looking for squad members that have that same personality, because it will give each card a boost as well. As you can see here, if I change to a survivor of a different personality, I will lose 10 points on that card. So you want to try to get all your personalities to match the leads that you pick. Again though, something is better than nothing. So if you have no survivors that match the lead personality, just put your highest rarity survivor in for the time being until you get one that does match. Your survivor squads will be something that you work on throughout your gameplay journey, always changing them around and try to get the best results. Speaking of rarity, I get a lot of questions asked in my Twitch chat about what's more important, selecting the right personality or picking the highest rarity. Well, as you can see here, if I were to put in an epic survivor into this squad that is maxed out and has the same personality type, that would be level 122, which is lower than the 128 we would have had from a legendary survivor with the wrong personality earlier. And even worse would be a lower rarity with the wrong personality. So that means we should always focus on the highest rarity card first, then match personalities, and then the very last thing to worry about would be the set bonuses. Now, I know I haven't talked a lot about set bonuses, and that's because they are for very end game players to worry about and have no effect on your power level at all. In fact, right now, the only set bonus that makes any sense to even get leveled up is going to be trap durability, and that's because of the way the bonuses are actually applied to your totals. Each bonus is actually adding only 5% to a stat, with the exception of trap durability, which adds 8%. But it's how they add to the stats that is what matters the most. Let's say, for example, I add a 5% bonus to my health, which based on everything I currently have is 414,732. Times 5% is only going to add a small amount as a percent because that number is already so large. But if I had a trap durability survivor squad bonus, let's say a trap had 50 uses, and I add 8% to it, that would add an extra 4 uses, which is a much larger percent overall. Going back to what matters first for your power level, you'll want to level up each survivor that is in your squads as high as you can. The goal will eventually be to have all your survivor squads full legendary survivors, but don't worry if you're leveling up epic ones right now. When I go to either slot the survivor in my collection book or recycle it, I do get back 100% of the materials I used to level up the first place, which I can then turn around and use for another survivor. Speaking of recycling, I would recommend that you never recycle a legendary survivor, even if you don't use it currently. Not only are those going to be hard to get, but as you level up and get more leads, you may want to move survivors around. And while you might not need that survivor right now, that doesn't mean that later when you change leads, you won't need it. So hang on to it. It's completely okay to recycle epic and lower survivors, however. Those are very easy to get, but hang on to your legendary ones until your max power level and have filled out all your set bonuses at least. Or be like me and just hoard them all. Also, as you level up survivors that are in your squads, try to level them up as evenly as possible. That way, if you have 2 survivors that are in the same squad, one level 30 and one level 20, since they both give you the exact same amount of XP boost, be sure to level up the lower one first, because it's actually cheaper to level up in the long run. That way, you can level your whole squad up quickly. Last but not least, let's cover how you're going to get all the survivor XP and evolution materials you're going to need in order to level up as quickly as possible. The fastest way is going to be doing missions that feature 4x rewards in a zone you are in. So let's use Plankerton for example. Of course, this will apply to any area, but on the map you will find regular missions and rewards like this, which may have survivor in them, XP in them. This will give you a base amount of XP, which at the time of me making this video is 6,720 survivor XP. However, you can also find 4x missions which have a higher level of difficulty but feature much better rewards. As you can see here, if I completed this mission, I would get an epic lead survivor, an epic survivor, and 4x survivor XP, which is 26,880, or 4x what the regular mission gave. I can do this mission as many times as I want to. There will always be other 4x missions that feature evolution materials that you will need to level up your survivors as well. These missions will rotate every 24 hours, and you can find a list of the current missions available in my Discord server in the mission alerts channel. I'll also leave a link to my Discord server in the video description down below. There are also numerous websites that will show graphic representations of the missions available as well, such as Fortnite DB, which I'll leave a link to in the description below. As you can see here on today's rotation, in the Mega Alert section, you will see all the 4x missions. So let's say you're in Plankerton and want to see where you can get the most survivor XP. You can easily go to the highest mission level you have access to that has 4x survivor XP and then go do that mission a couple hundred times. Just kidding. Either way, it sure does beat checking out every map on every zone every day for every mission. Whew. I know that was a ton of information, but hopefully this helps you get a better understanding of your power level and how to prioritize leveling up in the game. But if I did miss anything, or if there's any questions that you have, please let me know in the comments down below, or come hang out over on the Twitch chat. Again, link in the description down below. And if you really want to go the extra mile, you can always use code TymeStopper in the Fortnite item shop whenever you buy anything, and a small portion of what you spend does go to help the channel as well. But guys, that's going to be about it from me. I do want to thank you guys so much for watching. I really do appreciate it. And until next time, as always, be good.